super, super glad that you're here today with me. And since you are building an agency, is that true?
Yes, it is. Slowly getting there. It's just the two of us at the moment. Small agency, but hopefully going to bring kind of more people that do the work better than me to kind of have the ultimate client experience.
But what kind of agency? Because there are so many agencies. Is it a model agency?
Not a model agency, not now, maybe in the future. But the current agency is a funnel building agency. So what we do is essentially take care of the clients, kind of their client's experience. So I don't know, should I talk about what a funnel is?
Yes.
So a funnel is a customer's journey from the moment that they meet you to post-purchase. And what we do is we mainly focus on the design aspect of things. So we design all the sales pages, opt-in pages, and things like that. We have also done things like copy in the past, so all the text for the sales page and the emails and the strategy. But now we're mainly focusing more on the design.
On the design. Okay.
Yes.
How did you get into that? Because it's not like you walk down the street and just like, hey, I'm now going to build some funnels, right?
Oh, yeah. It's honestly, it's been a crazy story. So do you want the long story or like...
Let's see. If it's too long, I'll cut you somewhere with another question.
I can talk for hours about this. So the way that it started, I actually went through university and I studied for neuroscience and biochemistry, and then I decided to get a master's.
That's not funnels at all.
Not funnels at all, which is crazy to think about how the journey has kind of unraveled to get to this. And then I did a master's in biomedical science, and it all started from the moment that I started looking for a job. And the first job I had was in a lab doing COVID tests.
Oh my.
It was a nightmare. So I went there for the induction and it was just like 4 walls, super noisy. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like I want to travel. I want to, kind of live more freely. So what happened is I started looking into virtual assistants and social media kind of jobs. So on the first day of that lab job, I had a booked call with a potential client. So what happened is I phoned them in, told them I was sick. Not the nicest way to go, I understand. But essentially, that's kind of where it all started. And then I did social media management for a little bit. And then,
had you done something like that before? No. You just didn't want to be in the lab.
Exactly.
So you were like, I can manage your social media account.
Kind of. Which sounds insane at the moment, but the amount of information online where you can pick up these skills and learn them, I think like degrees like business, marketing, you can learn it online, and I think it's more advanced in some cases.
It's more up to date, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And then I just started managing social media, and I understood that like the clients that I worked with, they were lovely people, but like their accounts were small, and I couldn't control their entire marketing strategy. I couldn't create their videos for them. So that kind of got me into the funnel space. So I took another course. The amount of courses I've done is insane. So I took a course on funnels. It was by...
Why did you choose funnels though?
Funnels.
Because I get social media marketing, you might have chosen how to shoot better reels or, how to write the best bio or something, on that side. Because funnels is...
It's a little bit.
It's a little bit. It matches.
It does, but it is different. So I was seeing all this traffic come in from my clients' kind of social media, but what was happening? Nothing was moving forward. So by having those funnels in place, you take that traffic that comes in from your social media and you monetize it fully.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to extend that journey and make sure that clients actually get sales. Because the funnel is something that gets ignored way too much. Like people spend so much time creating content and showing up on stories and selling and talking about their product, which is great, but the experience stops there. So what I've actually come across with a lot is last year, like in the beginning of the year, everyone's into their fitness journey, and I was like, right, I'm going to do this as well. And what happened is I was trying to look for a coach that would like keep me accountable. And I had a look at all these different coaches on Instagram that, work with entrepreneurs, that help them lose weight and so on. And the issue was that their content was okay, but they didn't have any kind of sales page to tell them about the offer and why I should choose them.
So it would be just that they would just have the Instagram account.
Yeah. And then like a Calendly link, like book a call with me, but I'm like, I don't know you. Like, what
I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly. And even though like the content is great and I'm forming that relationship with them, it's not, I wouldn't say it's enough. Because you need to tell people about your offer. You need to show the value of your offer and why you're different. So that's kind of why I went into the funnel.
Yeah, so how did you, did you find a fitness coach then?
I didn't. I didn't. I don't think I spent enough time actually looking for one, but the ones that even I was following, there was no information about what they offer, which is a shame because they put so much time and effort into their content, but it just doesn't go further.
Yeah. Why do you think it's that way?
I just think people tend to think that it's okay just to post social media and I'll get the sales. But with so many different like coaches and course creators coming up like every single day, there's new offers and the levels of like these courses, it varies a lot. And I think they just think it's okay to kind of put something out there, hope it sticks, and they get some kind of sales. But because I've worked with coaches and course creators that have just started out, that are in those kind of initial stages, all the way to like people like Tony Robbins, you know, that are making like multi-millions, it's really clear to see kind of the path. So those that are in the beginning stages, social media is important and getting your marketing strategy right. And a template sales page is more than enough, but you need to have it there to explain what you do, why you do it, and kind of speak to your ideal client like on a one-on-one basis through the copy of your sales page. So I think that's a really key kind of missing information, like missing piece of their marketing strategy.
Yeah. What I noticed with some of also the influencers, what I would ask them is, do you have an email list? And they're like, no. I'm like, what?
Yes.
And it's not, email list might sound old school, but it's about, what if one day you press that wrong link on your Instagram, something DM message, and you get like kicked out of your Instagram? Like, where do you meet your people and your clients then?
Exactly.
It's like you'll have them probably maybe somewhere on some emails because they have emailed here and there to you now, but not like the whole, the whole crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's for me is the thing is like in many places, the same as I used to record podcasts at the beginning. It's like I had one camera, one mic, another mic.
Yes.
Because you have to have the backup.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. I think especially for people that are in the course creation space, your email list is such a key kind of vital piece to your entire business. Because let's say your entire business is on Instagram. If Instagram for whatever reason shuts down, or as you said, like your account disappears or is hacked, like you've lost it all without an email list. How are you supposed to get those people back? I remember a while ago as well, a fitness influencer as well, she got her account completely like hacked, and she had to like pay money to get it back and so on. And it just shows how these things can happen. And yeah, it's crazy that people don't build an email list.
Yeah.
The annoyance is coming through.
Okay, so you mentioned Tony Robbins, and you built funnels for Tony Robbins. How did you get that gig? Because it's a pretty gig and pretty big, and I think not everyone can do that as well.
It's true. To be honest, I'm still a bit surprised that I'm still working with him. So the way that happened was through that funnel course that I took initially, and we had a Facebook community, and the guy that runs the course, he's like, this guy's looking for somebody to build his funnels, and I recognised the name, and that guy that wanted somebody to help with funnels worked with Tony Robbins. So I kind of got in touch with him and had a couple of calls, and here I am. So that it was kind of a chance of good luck and being in the right time at the right place.
And saying yes and speaking to the person who put out an ad.
And it was a major step out of my comfort zone in some ways, because I was still quite new to the funnel space. I think it was half a year, a little bit more than I'd been just doing funnels, which was crazy to think like in a half a year you can get a client that could absolutely change your life.
Yeah. How did you sell yourself to them?
I had a portfolio. Okay. So I had a couple of clients that I designed funnels for, and I just put it on one page and said, here's what I do, here are my designs. The clients that I worked with like previously, their audience sizes were really, really small. So there weren't really any kind of conversion rates that could show. But I think I sold them on the design, and I know that they look for personality as well. And it's just a step-by-step process. Like, there's various different platforms that are involved in creating a funnel. So you have like the design platform, the build platform, and so many different others. But the more that you can kind of build up your skill sets and learn all those different platforms and the kind of psychology of creating it all, kind of the more well-rounded you are and more presentable you are to a potential client, I think.
For someone who's listening to this podcast and they're thinking, okay, great, but I don't have the money to hire someone for building a funnel or make a design, do you have some tips and tricks for starting starting on your own path with, you know, like you said, with the social media, you can just go on YouTube, learn, and then help someone. Probably with funnels, it is also something that you can learn and do it by yourself.
100%. So my view on this has changed quite a bit. So previously I was like, everyone needs a funnel. I need to work with everyone. Now it's like no longer the case, because I got a client a year and a half ago now, and she's a really, really well-known YouTuber in the English learning space. And her funnels, I know that she would agree with this, but they were horrendous. Like, the design wasn't like optimized at all. It didn't align with her brand, but she still got the sales because of her personal brand and the value that she put out there. So I would say you could start off with a template, like in any case, especially when you're starting out. But what you need to know is who you're talking to, who is that one ideal client, and you need to make your messaging super clear. So if you have a template, you can write your copy. We have tools like ChatGPT that can help now, which is something I still use for copy. And you can craft your copy, put it on that templated sales page, and have it there for people to see, to look at, to read, so they know exactly what you do. And then afterwards, I think when it gets to a point where you would need somebody, for example, like me or anyone else to step in, is when you're really trying to kind of bring all that together, when you want to kind of translate your personality, your brand onto that sales page, and also stand out among the rest of the coaches and course creators that are out there, because it's getting busy. And the way that you're going to stand out is by really focusing on the experience that you create for people. So I think that's that answer the question.
Okay. What kind of experience are you creating for people?
Oh, that's a good question. Good question.
I should have started with what's your ideal client, but we'll go from the other end.
So the experience that I create for people is like this English teacher that I'm working with currently. So her before state was she was making sales. But when she looks at her landing pages, she wasn't proud of them. She didn't feel like they were aligned with who she is or where she wants to take the business. Like, I mean, she was making high six figures, which is great, but I know that she wanted to take it further. And that kind of step up is where the design comes in. Because I've seen people sell from like a simple Google document. Like, it works, but if you have somebody that sells from a Google document and somebody that has a really well put together page and they offer the same transformation, you're going to take the well designed and optimized page a lot more seriously, because you know that the person's put effort into their business, they're taking it seriously, they're in it for the long term. Whereas a Google Doc, you can just delete it and it's gone. So the experience that I create for clients is to really help them have that well put together look and really have a focus on conversions. Because of course you can hire a web designer, which a lot of people do, but when it comes to sales pages, the conversions are often not focused on. So there are differences between like web design and funnel design, and I like to think of myself like in the middle. So
joining things together.
Exactly. So we kind of pair good design and all the conversion elements. So one of our main focuses is readability. So if you have a lot of text on your sales page, people don't tend to read it. They just kind of skim through. But what we do with design is make it readable. So we highlight really important key phrases that people will resonate with. And it's all really thought out, like what we bold, what we put in italics, and little things like that. That I'm sure, like if you're making six figures, you don't really have the time to think about all those things. And then also it's like things like page load speed. So a lot of web designers I've seen use platforms like Showit, which is a no-code kind of drag and drop editor, which makes really beautiful pages, but they take years to load. Like, it's just too slow. And people need that fast page load speed to actually come and see what you do.
Yeah.
So there's lots of like different elements. So we kind of, it's design and conversions melted into one.
Interesting you were saying about the long landing pages, let's say that. Because I've done a course with Amanda Francis.
Oh, yeah.
And she's got the really long ones.
Yep.
And she has talked about that, and it works. And I read through them as well. And it does work. It's really long, but it's very interesting. You know, it's about, she always talks about money, about her experience. There is that personal story, but it's also like what you were saying that for someone, if I love the person and he's got a Google Doc, or there's another person who's got like a really nice designed page, probably if I don't love them too much, I'll go for the whatever Google Doc. So it's very interesting also to put, it's nice to have both, to have, you know, the from the front and to go to the back end is good as well, you know. It's not just like, wow, you're shining there and the other part is a mess, which is I don't really appreciate when I have gone to the courses that I know they're making a ton of money, but then my experience is shitty because they have not the very professional website, or the learning space is not that great or something. Because I'm like, you're making so much money and you're bragging about it, but how about hiring someone? Because I love doing those things, and mine is nowhere near perfect, but I love the tweaks of, you know, how to make the learning experience better, how to make the course platform, or, you know, when I created the first course, it was just on WhatsApp and on a free Wix website, because I thought it's going to be 10 people, but 150 showed up. So I realized it's not going to be enough with a WhatsApp group. You know, 150 people is like, they're never going to read the first message I put on there. So I had to create overnight, and I was like, okay, just in a kind of like a forum style, you know, every day one question. Because I had no idea, I had no clue. But later I was like, oh, okay, they have added a course platform. So they're doing some work for me. But I think it's really important because it doesn't cost a lot of money. Wix is like 20 something bucks per month. But you have to know how to use it as well.
Exactly.
So it's very interesting, these things with the user's experience, I guess, client's experience.
Yeah. And like, I mean, the experience doesn't stop just at the landing page. So recently I actually bought a course that teaches more about Facebook ads and things like that for my own business. And like, as you said, this creator, they talk about having a lot of money, getting a lot of clients, which, you know, is great. But then you buy the course, the landing page was a bit questionable. I had to there were a lot of unnecessary questions that I had to ask her about the course, the program, which could have just been on a landing page. And the more time it takes for somebody to buy, the less likely they are going to buy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I bought the course because it was just the right timing, and I'm like, you know what, let's go.
You needed that.
I needed it.
Yeah, you were on the top of that pyramid of like, you were just looking for a course, and
and the way that the course was put together, it was video format, but there was no face in the video. So it was just like a slideshow. And it was just a voiceover.
I recently was in one of those as well, and I was like, it's interesting because people buy these things and they work, but I miss the face.
Exactly.
I miss the face.
What kind of learner would you say you are? Like, are you visual, auditory?
Visual, but I've taught myself to be auditory as well, because I love walking around and just listening, and one thing will pop up and I'll just take my phone out and write down the note, because people talk a lot these days. So I don't have a time to sit and learn, just like, you know, because I like to move and learn. Like video, it could be a video, but then I'm maybe, you know, tidying up the room or doing some other things, but I'm listening to it, and then I just take notes when I hear that, oh, this is for me, this is what I need,
That's interesting. I would say that I'm the opposite. I need to sit down, I need to focus, and then I'm like writing notes like crazy. And without that kind of face there, I find it so difficult to concentrate. It's just text on the screen and a voice, and I'm like, oh God, when is this going to end? And there are some courses that have the face, but they're super, super long. And it's difficult to kind of keep up with the course as well. When the lectures are like 2 hours long.
Oh yeah.
So much content and so much value in that. It's great, but it's a bit too long. So I think you need to know your target audience as well when you're creating these courses.
Yeah.
Because somebody that has a really tight schedule, that's busy, like finding time for those 2 hours to sit through that lecture is it takes a lot of work.
And especially if you need to listen it from the beginning to the end to actually get out the value. If you can't like cut it and like, okay, I'll listen 15 minutes today, 15 tomorrow. But then if tomorrow you listen and you're like, it doesn't make sense because you have to hear again the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like not great. Okay, let's turn this podcast into a bitchy podcast. Oh. The worst courses, landing page things you've recently seen or experienced. I had one just now. I bought a little not Instagram course, but it was about the winter fashion. And the annoying thing there was when she sent an email. So I signed up on her Instagram, just sent my email. She sent me the link where to pay on my email. And then I kept receiving the emails about that I should still buy the offer, but I had bought the offer. So, she hadn't because it's probably manually done. She hadn't taken me out of the list like, oh, she has bought the thing. So I'm not emailing her anymore. And I wrote to one and was like, I have bought already. And then the next day, and then the next day I receive it again. I'm like, shit. And I don't want to unsubscribe as well because then I'm not going to get if she does send something for the course. But that was one of them. I was like, come on. It's like, you're doing these things like you should be doing better. But yeah, that's my complaint, my annoying. The last one, I'll think about more.
No, I totally understand that because it's the way that the email sequence is set up. So I used to do email automations for clients as well, but when I realized that I absolutely hate it, I just don't do it anymore. So especially for like webinars, when people sign up, usually you have like a pre-webinar sequence that hypes them up for the webinar, encourages them to come. And then you have the webinar, or you can do it for a challenge as well. If you have like a 3-5 day challenge, you have emails about reminders and things like that. And usually at the end of a webinar, you pitch, right? That's the standard.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of people don't do is set up the post-webinar email sequence to be that. So I send you emails about enrolling in this course. The moment that you buy those emails should stop.
Yeah.
And often they carry on, like in your experience as well. But it's just knowing kind of the email automation. And it does depend on the platform as well that you use. So I've used ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign for a lot of email sequences. And they're pretty easy to navigate as well. So, it's just
there should be some tool that takes your email out once you have bought.
It's in the automation. So you can set it up in a way that like if this person has this tag added for, usually people get tagged once they buy something. So you can set up your email automation in a way that kind of takes them out of the sequence when they're tagged.
Probably for some it's no rocket science. I understand what you're saying, but
it can seem like that, but that's like
but
YouTube.
Also, if you're doing manually, like I do still many things manually, and I do remember it's like, oh, this person has already answered that they don't want to, so I take them manually out of the list. I really care about that because I don't like things like this. It's just, I mean, automation is not bad, but a little bit like personal touch is good.
It's true. Like automation, I understand the love-hate relationship with it completely because once it goes wrong, it's like a shit show and babbles. It's not great, but it can save you a lot of time. And you can still make it personal in some aspects. So obviously you can have the first name element that says, hello Monta, welcome to the course, blah, blah,
Which
blah.
is super easy.
It's super easy to do.
But then sometimes people don't write their first name and it turns
like
out
first name.
Recently I received an email like that. Hello, first name.
Yes.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
but it's just because I know what has happened.
Yeah. Like you understand what has happened, but for some people that are maybe new to like buying courses, they're like, what the hell is this?
And I had this thing that I think they had entered the wrong name or just some silly. And then they emailed me like, this is not my name. I'm like, well, I never put your name down because when you fill in the form, you put your name in.
Yeah.
So maybe it was an autofill or something that they had. It was like, well,
it's like your fault.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, not sorry, but yeah, so funny things like that happen. Okay, what are other like really bad experiences or something you can think of? Not like really bad, but just like maybe
things that people could improve.
Yes.
Yeah. So even going back to this course that I recently purchased, besides the videos, like I think her course was hosted on Kajabi. It's a great platform, but there are certain elements like the course is created by this author and it has like lorem ipsum, like a paragraph of like dummy text in it. It hasn't been filled in. There are a lot of like elements that weren't filled in and didn't have the experience like fully developed. It's like you've posted your videos on this platform and they're there and you've left it there. So like just take that extra 30 minutes to like fully make sure that all the elements are filled in.
Yeah.
What else? I would say that after purchase. So the moment that you purchase something, you need to give people immediate wins. You can't keep people waiting. Like, have I purchased this? Have I not? The money's gone out of my account. What happens now?
I had that experience recently as well. And I wasn't sure. And it's like, but like the money has gone, but I don't have the receipt. Nothing. Like, not like literally nothing.
Yeah. And again, it's an easy automation that you can do. Just send an email saying, hey, thank you for your purchase. You are now enrolled. Like, we'll send you your next steps the next amount of days. And it just gives people that peace of mind. Like, yes, I've made the right decision. It's going to be great. But I also think like something that I've seen work really, really well. That's just before I think we started this podcast, I told you about one of the best courses that I ever took. And the reason why it was so good. So after I enrolled, first of all, the guy had a really interesting launch strategy where he gave kind of discounts and tiers because you were on the wait list. But the moment that you enroll, he sends you a personal Loom video. So he's like, hey Arta, thank you for joining. You're going to do this and this and this in the course. Like he had a script, but he mentioned my name.
How did he do? Was that with artificial intelligence nowadays? Because
you can do it with AI.
Now you can do with AI videos. Yeah,
you can do it with AI, but I don't think he did use AI.
Yeah.
It was because I've spoken to him and he's like, he takes the time to like record a 5-minute video for the person. And it's just such a nice personal touch. And also like his courses. So the way that the course worked was, it was a 8-week program. And he basically gives you live lectures, but he doesn't use Zoom. He used a different platform, which I can't think of the name now, but like it was very interactive. So there were questions and there were emojis and background music, and it was super interactive and really fun to show up and actually be there. And then also another aspect was the community. So he had hired a assistant or two, I think it was 2 assistants that were in there answering people's questions. He was answering people's questions with like, normal text responses, looms if like we needed looms. And it made every single penny that I invested into that course worthwhile. I would say like what I invested should have been double, at least.
Yeah.
And that's the experience that you want to create for people. And when it came to like the course finishing, leaving a testimonial wasn't like, oh my God, I need to record a testimonial for this person. It was like I wanted to, because I wanted other people to experience this course as well. So it's the entire experience, not just from like purchase. It's the way that you present the course as well. So.
Yeah. So I joined a membership it's a Freedom Queen membership for business entrepreneurs, for women. Mostly, I think it's just for women. And she's got an amazing also like this customer journey, because once you join, she's got her own platform. And when you, for example, there's also like the intro video, like what you said, hello, she didn't use my name, but there was like a nice intro video and like how the platform works and what the first 3 steps that I should do. I should go and introduce myself, build my bio, like with the picture and just write about myself something. But the automation stuff was amazing. Once you write the bio, she's like, do the bio and there's going to be a surprise. I'm like, okay, interesting. You start to be curious. Okay. You write your bio, you press the, publish. And straight away you get a message in your inbox. It's like, hey, now you get a free 10-minute call with a course tutor. I was like, oh, okay, that's amazing. Because like straight away, once you did like little thing, it's like, okay, like we noticed this and this is like your reward. But the reward was really good. And what she also did, and it's amazing because she does like 7 figures. She she doesn't have to be sitting there, but she does this onboarding call, 10-minute onboarding call with everyone who comes on the membership.
How many people roughly are in the membership, would you say?
She's letting in 100 more now, so I think it's around 100. It's not too many, and it's also not a very expensive membership. It's like $97 per month, which is very, very decent. It's like a nice. It's not like something cheap where you go and you don't think about it. But I signed up for a year because she's got a really good also this offer of getting 30-minute call with her. So I was like, well, yeah, I wanted that because whenever I'm in an environment like that, I grow. And it's just a fact. So I went in and it's like, oh, okay, I've got a 10-minute boarding call. And also on the boarding call, I didn't have to ask her, like, how does the page work? Because I had, like, with these steps that they had already on the website, I could just like, oh, okay, this is there, this is how I use it. And then on a 10-minute call, I could ask the question that, because I went on a membership for a reason, you know, like I wanted to do something. And I was like, okay, like 10 minutes, the question, you know. And she answered that and wasn't like, oh, no, you just talk about, you know, like the page or something. It was like, no, like you talk about whatever. So that was amazing. And she said for her, those 10-minute calls is like the key to build like this better experience for everyone who's using her page, her membership, everything. She's like, I could go and do something else, but this brings in more money because I know my customer so well.
Yeah. Oh, that definitely brings in more money thinking about it, because it's like the membership is fairly low ticket, I would say. $97 per month, was it? Yeah. It's fairly low ticket, but the way that she records that like video, not records, it has that call with you.
Yeah.
It sets you up to later buy something else from her because you felt that connection with her.
Of course.
So
yeah.
It's so much easier to get people into like higher ticketed coaching programs afterwards.
As well, and I think it's just that when you see the effort, that they don't take you for granted because you paid $97 only.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not the high ticket customer for her, like for her 10 grand program or something. But it's just like you're saying, of course I'm going to go. Like when I think about the next step, I'm like, okay, how can I get into the higher program with her? Yeah. Because we already talked once, twice, and then on the calls as well. It was really good. We had the group call because we have those once a month, and she brings on people to ask about the experiences, to share, and that's a very good thing. Like once you bring someone on the stage, oh, you're in love with everything because like you're shining there. It's perfect. Like it's so good. Like,
oh, that sounds really good. And like thinking about it, when you are ready to invest that 10 grand into a coaching program, you're a lot more likely to choose her who's taken those 10 minutes out of her day to talk to you, answer your questions, than somebody that like maybe you've been following for a while and you've bought something low ticket from them, but they haven't had that personal interaction. You haven't really been, like, you don't really feel like you're being taken care of. So it's just those little things that then make you a lot of money in the long term and have like raving fans about your products as well.
Exactly. It does work. I used to do 30-minute calls. That was my season of 30-minute calls, like 2 years ago, when especially in the COVID, the second lockdown as well. I would just offer like 30 minutes, like whatever you want to talk about. And I knew my customer inside out. Because, you know, every day you talk to them, you're so and then there's no question when you go out and create content or a course or something, because you know them.
Exactly.
You're like, you know them. And it's something that we just had another podcast about sales, and I was like, I have to go back to this because I didn't, you know, when you start also learning from some other coaches, like, save your time, do this, like, don't do free stuff. I didn't realize until this 10-minute call. I was like, shit, like, I stopped my 30-minute calls because I started to listen to these people saying, like, oh, you should evaluate like your time more, this should be expensive. It was bringing me in a lot of money because I knew my customer.
There's a balance, I think, between giving out free stuff, having these free calls, and then valuing your time. Because in the long run, if you do have these 30-minute calls where you just get to know your customer, it's going to make you a lot more money in the long term. And then you can take that time back.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking like 30 minutes is long because I saw how much value I got out of 10 minutes. And I'm like, I could do like 15 minutes. 15 minutes is really good. And then I would know the customer, and it's not going to be the sales call because I wouldn't be doing it to sell something. It's just like purely for me. It's like, what problem have you got? Like, what we can talk about today? Tell me.
I think a lot of people do have that resistance though to booking a free call.
Yeah. Not with me.
No,
they love it.
Good.
Yeah,
that's good though. Because...
And it's so funny because I think because I've been teaching meditation and very spiritual stuff, they would come to me and they would be really like openly talking about things that I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to hear this, but like really personal. And I love giving, you know, advice. Sometimes it's advice. It's more. It's most of the time listening, asking a question, and then they figure things out. You know, sometimes it is like mentoring, and it's like, hey, I think like this, and just go and do this, and then come back, like circle back to me, just write a message like how you're doing. Yeah.
I think it depends on like your personal brand and the vibe that you give off as well, because some people are very aggressive in their sales. So when you do offer a free call, it's usually like you come with a problem, you talk about it, and then like, hey, I do have a program for this, and blah, 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 blah. And I think it varies quite a bit.
No, for those, I had the ones for coaching. Then I wrote on my story, it's like I offer these free calls, but it's about, you can ask anything about the private mentoring coaching with me. And this is only for these. Like, those like...
I think if you set an intention as well, that would help.
But yeah, this is very good stuff. Anything else you remember about good or bad?
Good or bad courses? Oh, actually, I think it's quite interesting to talk about a Latvian creator. You know Liana?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took her course in September. And because I've seen all these like international courses, I was like, Latvia, okay, what are you going to offer me? And I was blown away. And I think her courses to like other courses that I've seen, like that are Latvian based, I think it differs because she shows her kind of transformation personally, like all the places that she goes to learn and develop herself, and then she brings it all back to the course. So I think her course was really good. The community as well. But there were a lot of people in there. So sometimes I think there's a balance between how many people you have in there, the price point, and the attention that you can give people. So I think there needs to be maybe a bit of a balance for me personally. But that was a really good course I had because there was so much information and it was super, super valuable and really kind of, I think her energy as well. If you can present your energy through your content, through your messaging, you'll attract the right people and then you'll give them the transformation that they want. Which I think is something that I've noticed as well. Like, I think course creators need to get to kind of, they need to become comfortable with pissing people off. Like, straight out there. It's true, because if you try and please everyone, you'll attract everyone and eventually people will start to dislike things about you. But if you're like straight up with who you are through your content, you'll attract the right people and then they'll have a great transformation, because that's really all that it is about. People come into your courses, they look for that transformation, the end goal, and then those that do get it are the ones that can kind of resonate with you and what you teach, I think.
Yeah,
so
definitely. It's a biggie, like being straightforward with some things that you're yes for and some things that you stand like, no, it's a no for me.
Exactly.
It's a biggie because you can get a backlash.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
But I don't... any other courses? I think, I took a coaching program in the beginning of this year by The Future. And they mainly focus on like the agency space as well, helping them grow their business and things like that. And they're a big business, like huge. And it was I want to say 5-figure investment. And it was good, but because they're so big, they allowed quite a lot of people in and you didn't have that one-on-one kind of touch with them. If you did, it was in a group setting, but it was very quick, like ask your question, which is great. You do need to save time, so you know, you can like help more people. But at the same time, it felt very rushed and kind of intimidating, because if your question was too long, you felt like, oh my God, I'm taking up too much time. So I think for like coaching, considering how many people you let in is something that needs to be more considered, I would say. So
yeah, I've noticed that with for example with the retreats, if I have around like 15 people is good. We had a little bit, maybe like 18 once, and it's just, there's something with the group dynamics. Like 12 is a really good number, I think. When you can have a little bit of time with everyone, you're like, hello, la 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 la, this. But once it's more, I don't know if, like, I wouldn't mind running like a 30 people retreat. It's fine. But you have to really think of, it's not going to be, you can't even spend one-on-one time with someone because then you have to think about that, how you're going to do that with everyone, you know?
And coming to your retreat, which was living amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I think if you were to do it for like a larger group of people, it would have to be longer. And honestly, I think the reason why I came to your retreat was like, I thought about the day of silence that we have, and I was like, oh, blimey now, what am I going to do? Like,
sit in silence.
Sit in silence. But God, it was really transformative. And the group size was really good as well, because eventually you got to talk to everyone. But I think if there were more people, like, we'd need more time.
Yeah.
So it's a balance between everything, I think. So
it is. It's very interesting. It's because I've taught in classrooms for, oh my gosh, like since I was 20. And I've taught like small classrooms, like 12 people, sometimes 6, and then, you know, one-on-ones. And then also like 40, 60 when I worked in Vietnam. Like you walk in a classroom and you have like 2 school buses in it.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it's completely different because you can't think about individual. And it broke my heart because I always think about, you know, like I'm telling something, but I'm like, she knows that already. It's boring for her. And then for him, this is needed because I was teaching English. And it's like, you're like in your head is just blowing up because you don't know how to be there for those 60 people. And then you just have to like, okay, for most of the group, what do they need?
And that's difficult.
It is difficult. Yeah. But then when you think about also now when I've been signing up for programs or for like this membership was for the environment. Like I like that I go in and there is this lady who's from lash extension lady. She's now created this lash extension agency, something like really great. Like she just teaches how to make these brow bars and it's a business. So I'm like, oh wow, you from that you can create that and you know something that just like, oh wow, there are so many ideas, so many empowering women. I'm not looking for this like, where's my one-on-one attention? Yeah. But then on the other one, I went in and I asked actually for a consultation, like for like how can you help me? And she's like, well, you can take my course. I'm like, I don't want to take a course. Yeah. Like I want like come and talk to me. Like look at my thing that I'm doing. Like come and like be with me. And I want the personal touch. You know. So it's a hard work.
I think this is where messaging I think comes in and is so important. So a way that you can actually kind of filter out what people want from you is creating a quiz funnel. So a lot of people do this on their homepages. So I've seen people like create a video like on their homepage, like, hey, welcome to my website, blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you currently working on? What are you struggling with? And then they click on the answers and then it kind of takes them to the best product for them or kind of introduces the concept of the product. So, for example, for you, if that course creator or coach or whoever it was kind of asked you, like, what kind of attention are you looking for? Like, is it one-on-one or is it like a community environment? You know, it could have led to something.
Straight away.
Exactly. So I think it's... A lot of people just push the sale. Like, here's my course, have it. But just take the time to kind of really understand what people need. And obviously, as you grow your business, you know, you have a lot of people that are coming to you every single day. This is where, like, all the automations and funnels come in. Because, you know, at some point, you will be kind of the bottleneck to your business where you can't really help that many people anymore. And that's where all these automations come in, I think. So,
yeah, I like the quiz, but I've done sometimes on some other people's pages. Because it does, you kind of go through it. I did it for I think there was something for branding. And then they give you the brand, what kind of a brand you should build or something. But that was because they ask questions, and random questions, and then, you know, like it's something's about colors, something's about what you like, something about what you do, and to create these, I like a brand avatar. But it was interesting because when I went, I'm still subscribed to her email list, and she sends newsletters now and then. And then she had something like, oh, come on my YouTube, I have this playlist for creating brand, la la la, something else. Oh, interesting. And I go on there and I start watching it, and it's kind of tiny bit boring. And since I have YouTube Premium, I just, you know, I can just put it on the side, listen to it. And like I said, I can listen when I will hear something, you know, but I went to, I think on Instagram or somewhere else, some other platform with videos. And I see this other lady and she's so excited on her video that I just like press like no to the YouTube and start watching that. And I was like, wow. And this is what happens. This is like, because I like analyze my own attention span. You see, like I went and was like, wow, this is good. This is for my brand. This is really great. And I like, because like she's giving really valuable information, but just the way how she was telling, it was very plain and very, not so like, yes, this is what you should do. And the other lady's like, oh my gosh, yesterday, I went to this transformation, like you should try this and this and this. And you like peeled to the screen.
Yeah, it's the energy, isn't it, that attracts you to certain people. It's a really important aspect.
Yeah.
Really important.
So if, for example, how does your process happen? If I was today, it's like, hey, Arta, I want to build better sales funnel for my page for what I do. What would be the questions you would ask me? Like if we can do like a role play or something that someone could be like, oh, okay, so this is how it happens. Because it might sound very difficult from all the things that we talked about. Sometimes it sounds also technical.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know answer to this one.
Right. So my process, it's changed throughout the years because now I work with a very kind of specific type of person. So they need to have an audience. They need to have an email list or subscribers or followers that they can monetize. If they don't have that, then it just goes back to the template. Build that list of people, and then we can talk.
I like it. And then we can talk.
You can talk.
How many people do I need to have on my list to talk to you?
They need to be engaged, and you need to be making some kind of sales, because if you don't have a proven offer, where you're getting social proof and kind of fulfilling on that transformation that you promise, then I can help with kind of crafting that offer, because I've done that before, but it's going to impact the sales that we have, like at the end of the journey anyway, because essentially what the sales page that I create kind of really helps to bring across the value that you provide. And if the value isn't there, then it's just not going to work. But in terms of audience, like the English teacher, she has 10 million on her YouTube subscribers. So they're big audiences, but obviously like a year and a half ago, that was like 8. Still big, but we essentially have to just kind of convert that audience into sales. And then the process after that looks like asking questions like, what is your goal? Like, why do you want this? Because previously, when I was just getting started out, I was like, you need a funnel? Cool, let's go, let's build. And it wasn't more like centered around what it is that you actually need and if you actually need a funnel. Because a lot of people don't need funnels. Like, they don't need them well designed. They need to plan the customer journey, which is where I can maybe offer a strategy session. But they don't need like the high designed funnel. Most people don't need that at like the beginning stages.
So what would you say, like around what, I don't know, is it an income number or is it the viewers on your YouTube channel or email subscribers? Like where would you suggest to someone who's also listening, is like, so they know, okay, when I hit this number, this is where I should go and see if someone can build a funnel for me?
I don't think it's a specific number. It's more of a kind of evaluation of where you're currently at. So if with the templates that you've created, you are making sales, but you are on the verge of like hitting another income ceiling that you're aiming for, but you can't see that your current templated page will take you there because you're not building that brand trust through it. That's where I would recommend somebody come in and design it and optimize it for you fully. So, because otherwise it's just going to be a waste of money, to be honest. It's not going to be a waste. It's still going to lay the foundation for you. Because when I worked with these smaller clients, like I designed the funnel for them, I set the foundations for them, but I think that money could have been invested into growing their audience in a better way, so that afterwards we can kind of optimize it fully.
But it's also good to have these things at the beginning, because then you can just, like you have that funnel, everything in a place. You don't have that at the back of your mind, and you can go create content. You can, like that's working, that's automated.
It's true, but I think it depends on how much resources you have, and where you want to allocate your time. If you have a lot of cash stored up and you want to do that, sure, go ahead. Have that well-designed website, have that really nice looking sales page. It will increase kind of that brand trust as well. But if you don't have enough people going to those pages, what's the point?
Yeah.
So you can have
just keep a pretty place.
Exactly.
Place.
Like if I have the Mona Lisa up on my kitchen wall and nobody comes to look at it, what's the point? As
long as nobody knows that you have the Mona Lisa, it's fine.
Yeah. But I hope that kind of makes sense, because you want to kind of, you want people to see the page that you design and where you put your resources. But if you don't have traffic, then work on traffic first and your messaging, and then do the design. It used to be the other way around. I used to think about this because I was desperate for clients then. Yeah. But now I'm like, I see how these like really high level courses and course creators and coaches operate, and it's changed my mind completely. And then after I kind of get an understanding of your goals, if it is a funnel that you need, because occasionally it's just messaging tweaking and funnel structure. Then like after I've established your goals, then we usually go on to like the onboarding phase where I collect all your assets. We usually have a call to kind of go through your brand strategy. If it's fun, if it's serious, if it's like professional. And then I usually work with their copywriters as well. A lot of my clients do have like huge teams. They have copywriters, they have graphic designers, email marketing people. And then I usually like collaborate with all of them to bring it all together. And then we design, get approvals, build, launch. And then the best bit is after we launch. So this is where we use like things like heat maps. And heat maps essentially show you where people hang out on your page. So for example, a lot of people put their logo on their sales pages or external links. And if people are clicking on them and like taking themselves off the page, it's going to reduce conversions. So that's where we really tweak and optimize the page, because I'm upfront with all my clients and I say, right, so we can design this page, it might not work. It might not get those conversions that you want straight away. And the way that we get like to that goal is by optimizing and like by constantly tweaking and experimenting. So that's the journey kind of.
So it's not just like, hello, I built something for you, this is why.
No. So the majority of like my clients stay with me for like a year, year and a half. So Tony and the English teacher has been like over a year and a half now. So it's an ongoing kind of relationship, and we constantly optimize and tweak and work on new campaigns, and it's really good.
Okay. If I was going to interview you next year, what would you love to tell me? Like, what have you achieved? Is there like a client you have? Is there a team, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you have moved to live somewhere else?
I love this question. So for next year, the plan is to kind of grow the agency. So at the moment, it's me and my partner. So I do most of the strategy, the design, and then he builds. The goal is to get more like contractors into the business that would take care of the design, the build, optimization, maybe add copy into the mixture as well. But I really want to look for people that are better than me. So I have a team of like A players that can really help my clients. And in terms of clients, of course, I want more clients that I can work with that are at that level, that they're just about to hit that breakthrough ceiling. So we can really help them get there. So, yeah.
And what about you? How does your day look like?
Oh, my day. That's a really interesting question. So I still want to design, because at the moment, the past couple of months have been kind of I would say, discovery phase of understanding who I really do want to work with, because I've worked with clients that don't have established teams. So instead of like designing and building pages and optimizing them, I've been doing things like project management, like building their automations, which I don't really do anymore. And it's just like things that don't really lit me up anymore. And I need to start saying no to more of those kind of clients. So I really evaluate who I take on as a client now. If they have that team, if they have those structures in place. And if they don't, I need to be more kind of setting my boundaries. So back to your question, I've gone off topic now. So design, team communication, client communication, and then I would say a lot more free time to kind of focus on myself as well, and travel. Because next year, hopefully, I'll be in a camper van, driving around Europe, and then kind of building my business remotely.
That's nice.
Yeah. Wow. So we'll do our next podcast sometime this year, maybe in Spain.
In a van.
In a van.
Why not? Yeah. Look, my portable mics are all ready for this trip.
It's awesome. It's a plan.
Yeah, right. High five. Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you for the first podcast with you.
Yeah, I've had fun. It's really good.
It's good. Yeah.